Hey guys, what's going on? McMole2 here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am bringing you a video where we are going to break down all the Zetas in the game. We're going to talk about their total usefulness within both raids, talking about the Rancor and the AAT raid. You can see I've got 4 tiers here listed total. The first 3 tiers, those are the Zetas you're going to find to be your most useful for the raids. And then tier 4, that's really your ones that are really don't have much use for the raid, that or they're very negligible. So you're not going to find much use with those, but what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first 3 tiers, we're going to go through each Zeta in detail. We're going to talk about just overall what it brings to the table, and then we will then discuss about just why the others in tier 4 just aren't that good. But big shout out to BB-8 Empire, they helped me put together this list. Also a big shout out to some of the AAT theory crafting groups I'm with. They've been helping me figure out these different rankings and also been giving me screenshots and other things to help put this video together. So big thank you to everyone who's helped me with putting this video together, and I really hope a lot of people can help use this video to figure out just how useful these Zetas are and really just what you want to invest in if you're looking to maximize your raid scores. But also one other thing I should point out is that these rankings are not really an indication of whether or not a character is good or bad for the raid. This is just focusing on the Zetas, so don't sit here and think that because something's in tier 4 that means the character's bad overall for the raid. Like you can see Jin is in tier 4 with her Zetas, but she's still a very good character for soloing the Rancor raid. But yeah, I'll go through that more as I go into the tier 4 group. But yeah, let's go ahead and start breaking down. Let's look at Kylo Ren first in tier 1, and then we will keep going on from there. First up, we have Kylo Ren. As you all know, he can currently solo phase 1 of the AAT raid. Now, they are fixing that so that his cooldown resets will no longer trigger on his retreats. However, that does not mean he can no longer solo phase 1. You'll still be able to do it. You'll have to be much more strategic and much more tactical and be smarter overall when you're trying to solo phase 1 with Kylo Ren. But he can still do it, and that is why I have him in rank 1 with the 4 million plus, because phase 1 of the AAT is a little over 4 million. I think it's 4.1 million. So if he can solo the entire first phase of the heroic AAT raid just by himself, he's an automatic shoo-in for tier 1. Next up, we have Finn with his leadership Zeta and the Resistance team, where his leadership ability, once Zeta, allows Resistance allies to gain turn meter boosts and cooldown reductions whenever they attack an exposed target. And of course, a lot of Resistance characters have exposes moves on them as well. So you've got a lot of exposes and turn meter boosts and cooldown reductions going on, which means a lot of fast-moving, hard-hitting characters. So you can use this team overall for massive boost in damage in phase 2. You've got people pulling 7 million now regularly with them. Before, you could only get half of that before they fixed the expose mechanic, where you could not stack expose on a character that already had expose. So yeah, you've got a lot of damage now coming with Resistance teams. So if you're looking for a really solid phase 2 team to help your guild out, or really just boost your own numbers to help get those sweet Kenobi shards, definitely consider using Finn and getting him Zeta and building up your Resistance team. Following that, we have Darth Vader with the Zeta on his leadership ability. It should be noted here that just like Kylo Ren, his Zeta has been fixed so that you will no longer get stacking turn meter reduction across encounters like you were before. So it's a lot harder to solo the Rancor, however, it's still very much doable. You have to add in some other characters like Jin and Bistan and even Qui-Gon Jinn or even Grand Moff Tarkin. So you can still solo the Rancor raid, however you cannot use a full Sith and Empire team like you were before. However, it makes things much easier there, and of course you have him with the phase 2 team and the AAT raid, where combined with Tusken Shaman and Darth Sidious and Phasma and some other characters, he can do massive damage with his Coaling Blade attacks and do a lot of damage. You can see here he's doing over 5 million in that encounter as well. So yeah, between the ability to solo the entire Rancor raid and the massive damage in phase 2, that is why he is in tier 1 of the Zeta rankings. And then finishing up tier 1, of course, my favorite, we have Commander Cody. You know how much I love clones. You have him with using a full clone team with Princess Leia in place of Rex. You have the infamous Princess Zodi team which has now officially soloed Phase 4 of the AAT raid on Heroic difficulty. So this team, of all the teams, probably your highest damage dealing potential outside of Vader with the Rancor solo. So this team definitely a shoo-in for Tier 1. You can do massive amounts of damage here. You also have the Jawa Scavenger team with clones in Phase 2, which you can deal a good 7-8 million plus damage with really good mods on them. So your clone teams with Commander Cody Zeta with the protection regen has added a huge amount of survivability to your clones and allowed for massive damage boost with them. So if you're looking for someone to help invest with Phases 2 or Phases 4, I highly recommend you go for your clones with a Commander Cody Zeta lead. So moving on to Tier 2, these are your Zeta abilities that are going to add at least 2 million damage to your overall team with the raid. First up, we have Captain Phasma with her Zeta on her leader ability, which takes away the full damage penalty, and then she also offers a triple assist chance for First Order, and there's also a bunch of things with advantage, giving critical hit immunity plus potency, a bunch of other things. So what's going on here is that she has allowed your First Order teams to start being viable in Phase 2 of the AAT raid. You can see here there's a good 3 mil plus damage there. You've seen other people do 4 million plus. So with her leadership ability, you've made your First Order teams really viable for the tank raid overall with Phase 2. So it's another good Phase 2 team to have. You know, eventually maybe, I guess, with R2 or something else in there, you could also try to make them work in Phase 4 as well. Next up, you have General Veers with unique Zeta on his aggressive tactician. In that Imperial Trooper allies, whenever an enemy is defeated, they gain 50% turn meter, offense up for 2 turns, and also regenerate 10% protection. This means that they are viable not only in Phase 2, but also Phase 4, because now they have those buffs so that your Imperial Troopers can now survive the Firestorm if needed, or you could also use a Stormtrooper or Shore Trooper. But this means they deal much more damage now thanks to the rework with all the Imperial Troopers, and this just means more damage and faster moving troops, and also survivability with that protection regen. So if you're an Empire lover and you really want to focus on your Imperial Troopers, this is a Zeta you can definitely consider for using to get better scores in Phases 2 and 4 of the Heroic AAT raid. Next up, we have R2D2 with the Zeta on his Number Crunch, and this is a very interesting ability where he gains max protection, health, offense, or potency based on the wide side allies around him, and then the Zeta allows him to give 10% of those max stats back to his other allies. So you can see here he did 4 million with the droids in Phase 2 of the raid, and this is because that max protection he gets from all those droid allies he gives back to them. It really boosts up their survivability and also the max offense. You can really add some damage to your droids as well. So he's got that. He doesn't necessarily add 2 million plus damage, but because he's so useful in so many teams, like Resistance in Phase 4, allows them to survive the Firestorm there. The fact he's so versatile in so many teams around the raid is what has convinced me to push him up to Tier 2. He doesn't have the damage requirements to be there, but that he's so versatile and useful in so many different teams is what I use as my argument to push him up to Tier 2. So I know that one's going to cause a bit of an argument, but yeah, you guys can feel free to argue that down in the comments for sure. And wrapping up Tier 2, we have Darth Sidious with the unique Zeta, where he gains more potency and max health based on his max potency. And what's going on here is he's a necessary part of your Vader team for Phase 2, with all the dots that he puts out, and he gains all that turn meter whenever an enemy dies. So he's going fast, and he's able to put out a lot of those AoEs to help really add on the damage from Vader's Coaling Blade. So he's a necessary part of your Vader teams if you want to maximize that score, and that's why I have him in Tier 2. He doesn't really add that 2 mil plus damage, but he's necessary for that Vader team, and that's why I have him moved up here to Tier 2. So yeah, if you're really looking at Vader team, also consider you really need the Zeta on Darth Sidious as well. So next up, we're going into Tier 3, and these abilities here will add about 500,000 damage overall to your team. And first up, we have First Order TIE Pilot, where the unique Zeta for him adds bonus crit chance and crit damage, and he has a high chance to gain Foresight whenever he loses advantage. And if you know him through his kit, he gains a lot of advantage very often. So getting that Foresight boost in there really adds to survivability to him. So he's going to be able to take a couple more hits. He's going to last a few more topples with a First Order team because he has no health steal. So he's not going to last the entire fight, but he's going to be able to last through most of it. So adding that Foresight in there really boosts his survivability and also really boosts his damage. And then next up we have First Order Stormtrooper, where anytime he uses an ability, he has a high chance, a 50% chance to call an assist. That includes his taunts, his attacks. Even when he counters, he also has a chance to call in his assist. So anytime he does anything, he has a good chance to call an assist. And coupled together with the Phasma, with the triple option for assists and everything, you get a lot of bonus damage with him just from this Zeta. So really definitely consider throwing the Zeta on him as well. If you're really looking to boost that first order score, as you can see here, the Zetas on everyone just really helps put this team together and really gives you some nice damage for Phase 2 overall. Next up on the list for Tier 3, you have the Qui-Gon Jinn Zeta lead. And this one, a lot of people have been using it with Phase 1 with the Jedi, but it's not too much impressive damage there. What is impressive is things like this, where you have your Jedi now viable for Phases 2 and 4 because of all the buffs, and there's a lot of bonus damage going on with this team. So if you have a Jedi squad and you don't need them to use for Phase 1, you could definitely look at using them in Phases 2 or 4, because Kenobi or Yoda can give buffs that allow them to survive the firestorm. So yeah, if you have a good Jedi squad and you're definitely interested in boosting your raid scores, definitely look at Zeta and Qui-Gon Jinn and trying to use them in Phases 2 or 4. Gives a nice boost to your damage, but not enough to really bump it up to the second tier. Following that, we have the Zeta on Barris, where critically hit allies regain 20% of their health as long as she is alive. This team, she can really be used in a Phase 4 team with Zeta, as you can see here. It allows her to buff the allies to keep them alive, and also really adds some nice healing bonuses. So you can really consider her there, especially since you can also argue for her in Arena. But in terms of just the raids, she's kind of on the weaker side of your Tier 3 abilities that are Zetas. So she's really not as useful as your other ones, but she's a nice little boost to teams like this. But it's already an expensive proposition to use a Zeta team in Phase 4. So really, don't consider this one unless you have Zetas to really spend on raid investment. But definitely look at using this if you want to have your Phase 4 attempts with Zeta really that much more useful. And wrapping up Tier 3, we have the Zeta on Pfizer, where he gains bonus turn meter whenever an ally is attacked. Overall, this does not bring much to the table in terms of boosted damage. However, in a Princess Zodi team for Phase 4, he basically gets the ability to go right as soon as the Firestorm attacks everyone. So he can come out of the gate, maybe apply slow to a turret, maybe do the bonus attack on one of the B2s or a turret, really help bring down the other enemies that much faster. So if you combine that with the dots in Phase 2 or Phase 4, he really starts to go really fast, turns into a bit of a machine gun, and throws out slows and assist attacks everywhere. So he's really quite useful for your clone teams. But beyond that, he doesn't really have much use for raids, so if you're looking at a nice boost for your clone team damage, definitely consider 5s. Now here with your Tier 4 abilities, these are the ones that I recommend you hold off on investing if you're looking to maximize your raid score. However, as I said before, bad Zetas ranked here does not make bad characters. You have your Jinn, which is really good for soloing the Rancor now. You have Nihilus, which coupled with some nice Phase 3 teams can do some really good damage with his Annihilate. And of course you have Grand Moff Tarkin with his Zetas, and those have kind of helped him a little bit with soloing the Rancor as well. You have your Zal teams, which people mess around with sometimes. But overall, these Zetas are not really required, so if you're looking to improve your raid score, I really recommend you focus on Tiers 1 through 3 instead, and then focus on Tier 4 if you're really just looking for something fun to do. But really, I recommend you just focus on the first 3 tiers. So yeah guys, this is just the overall chart. I've covered all the Zetas, what I think are the best ones, which ones you guys should definitely invest in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, we have more Zetas coming in the future. Of course, we have Fulcrum Ahsoka coming very soon as well. So this is something we'll be updating on a monthly basis as more Zetas and more characters get improved. And as we find better scores and some of these Zetas may be found to be necessary, this list is going to change around quite a bit. You're going to probably see more get moved away from Tier 4. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you guys think, and feel free to definitely like and share this video. This is really going to help out a lot of your newer players who are looking to invest their Zetas, try and improve the raids, or help these new guilds that are trying to clear the Rogue AAT, get those sweet Kenobi shards. So yeah, I really hope that this is going to be helpful for all of those guys. So I really want to get the word out to them, let them see this video, let them know just, how much or what they should invest in to help improve their raids. But as always guys, I appreciate you all watching this. Again, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys later.